Scott Boras, leader of the Boras Four, a group that consists of at least one player who doesn't want to play with you no more. A man who'd rather sail the shore and explore, going out of his way to find a new leader without feeling like a whore. Scott Boras once had the man's trust, only for that to turn into disgust. For all that could have been done to prevent today, it has all been led astray. And so, as Jordan Montgomery continues his journey into the desert, it's time to switch agencies and divert. I mean, Scott Boras fumbled the bag like nobody's business this offseason, but at the end of the day, is it really fumbling the bag when it's all very fair? I'd say blame, and I put blame in quotes because I don't know if that's the perfect word to use here, but there's blame on multiple sides of the coin. Boras did fail in some regards, like Blake Snell's situation. Snell could have ended up with $150 million guaranteed with New York, but declined that and waited only to get no better offer and have to settle for $62 million over 2 years. But at the same time, yes, Boras screwed up, but the market is being completely fair. All of Boras' top guys were not smart long-term commitments for teams, so understandably so, nobody wanted to give these guys the long-term deals they were looking for, including Jordan Montgomery, who didn't sign his deal until hours before opening day. And was it the 6-year, $160 million contract or whatever it was he was looking for? No, quite the opposite. 1 year, $25 million with Arizona. Boras attributed the slow pace of free agency to a few different things, naming normal market fluctuation and the uncertainty of team revenue from regional sports networks as a couple of them, while also saying that we've had a dramatic difference in the competitiveness and aggressiveness of owners to win, which is something Boras said right after Montgomery had signed with Arizona. But whatever the case is, this was supposed to be where Montgomery got the bag, at least the biggest contract of his career, or at least the most ideal and valid time for it to happen. Montgomery is 31 years old, coming off by far his best season of his entire career, and really 3 straight solid seasons that got better each year. About a 3.5 ERA in those last 3 years, split with the Yankees, Cardinals, and Rangers. Monty has really solidified himself as a good number 3 option for any big league rotation. But with the fact that he's a solid number 3 comes with the fact that he's just that, a solid number 3 who's not getting any younger, and maybe he could get better with age, who knows, but he's obviously not a smart long-term investment to make, just like the other Boras guys who had to settle for short-term deals. And with Boras playing his part in failing to get Montgomery the most money at the most realistic spot in his career where he can get the most money, Montgomery has now said, see ya, we're done here, dropping Boras as his agent and joining Wasserman, another agency. Like I said, he just signed a 1-year deal, and there's an option for a 2nd year that Montgomery has control over if he makes at least 10 starts this year. If not, he has to stay with the D-backs for 2025. If he does make those 10 starts, which is expected, even though everyone's elbows are dropping left and right, Montgomery will re-enter the market and hopes Wasserman will get him more of what he was looking for from Boras this past offseason. I really do think he's valid for doing this. I mean, if there was ever a time in this man's career for him to get a longer term deal with lots of money, that time is now. He really is at his peak. And we don't know all the details, but there's a good chance Boras screwed it up like he did with Snell, declining other teams' longer term deals because it wasn't quite what they wanted, so they were willing to wait, only to have to settle for even less than that in the end, which in this case ended up being $25 million over 1 year guaranteed in Arizona. Again, we don't know exactly how things went down, but whether they had the chance or not to take more and declined, Boras obviously didn't do what he and Montgomery were setting out for this past offseason. It's really that simple. Now, it's not like Montgomery himself has come out and spoke about this and explicitly called this out as the reason why he left, but it's pretty obvious that this is the reason. He's not satisfied or proud of what Boras was able to get for him, and with him likely going to hit free agency again in 6 months, he said screw it and found someone new. The Boras waiting game just isn't going to work now. It may have worked years ago, but now it's not as effective, especially with pitchers. Like, are you kidding? Pitchers over 30 who have a history that tells you they aren't good long-term investments is one thing, but then factor in that every pitcher has a snapped elbow now? Forget it. Juan Soto, someone who's a Boras client, should be fine. I don't think someone like him will have a hard time finding the beyond massive payday he's been looking for years now, whether it's back with the Yankees or someone else. But as for Montgomery, he ain't trusting Boras no more. Is it entirely Boras' fault? No, it's not. But I do think there's enough blame to be handed to Boras for Montgomery to make this move and have it be an understandable one to make. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.